Hi everybody, it's the CC and JT Amateur Hour, and it's daylight.
It's daylight, it's afternoon, it's Saturday, not Sunday.
Saturday, not Sunday. We're doing an early podcast broadcast because of a change in our schedule. CC and I right now are deep into a three-day seminar. We're in a 3-day seminar on how to
teach fiction writing online.
Yes.
Or, well, it relates to the various aspects, not just the teaching part of it, but how to market it, how to build an audience, things like that. So it's very interesting so far.
Very interesting. So, and as I said, it's 3 days. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And it's going, all hours of the calendar right now. Right now it's lunch, and then the next session is one that we don't need to attend. So we're going to go ahead and use this time proactively to do the podcast broadcast today. And then because we won't be available tomorrow morning when we usually do it. So instead of our usual coffee talk, instead of our usual coffee talk, we're on water and sodas for this one. So we're kind of,
But we've had our coffee for the morning.
Yeah, we've had our coffee. So we try not to do caffeine afternoon.
No.
We were kind of struggling to come up with the subject of this one. This is also not going to be very long because we are in the seminar, so we're going to keep going that. We will just say very briefly with our current projects that they are proceeding. So if you are following along on our podcast, you know that I've got a book at the editors, but I got that book back, so I'm working on that.
Yes.
We have a book that we're working on jointly together on our big ass trip, and right now CC is working on the latest round of suggestions.
Yeah, the latest draft, basically, the iteration. We kind of did a quick push right after we got back while the memories were fresh. We're filling in more details. The actual formatting of the book will come later, but right now I'm working on filling in more of my details.
And kind of related to that, kind of an offshoot, we are talking about future trips, and we have 2 trips pretty much nailed down. Now, we don't know if we're going to do any kind of books or anything, but one of those trips, which we're thinking about starting next month, and we'll give more details, is going to be a very fascinating trip. It's another road trip. It's another road trip, and it could be very fascinating, especially if you want to learn more about the mystery that is J.T. Hume. Ooh.
Well, I know I do, because this is a part of JT's life that I've heard about, a lot. Not in great detail, but yes, it has come up throughout the course of our 42 years of marriage. But I don't know a lot of detail. Seeing locations that were involved in this experience will help put things into perspective for me after all these years. So, and we will also be seeing more of the country, at least places that I haven't yet been to. I know some of them you will have visited, but so we're filling in more of those states on our U.S. bingo card.
Yep. So we're going to be filling out the bingo card on your side of the card, because as you said, this is places that I've been before. And then we're thinking that sometime in September, perhaps. And these are all tentative.
Yes, nothing is booked yet.
We're thinking of making a trip out to Washington, D.C., which is a place neither of us have been to, but we've always talked about. We've always wanted to see. And we've already created a bucket list of places that we want to go in D.C. that we really, really wanted to go. So, and then next year we may have another big ass trip. But
the BAT 2025.
Yeah, but this is way too far in the future. Even the one next month is too far in the future because some things have to fall into place. So, that was the divergence. And then the third book is just sort of sitting there. I've been tapping away at it, and then right now the space epic and the big ass book take precedence. But I've got the third book ready to go.
Well, and also you did get some beta feedback on that third book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, some great feedback.
Yeah. So, again, as is JT's penchant, that book does have Nevada connections. So the current book, the space epic, obviously does not because space. But JT does write pretty heavily about Nevada, and my upcoming one after our next joint project that we're currently working on, which I hope to dive into pretty soon, is also going to be a Nevada historical. And I'm very excited about that because some of the information that really started my mental gears going on this story relate to things that I learned about in my previous day job. So that's something that hopefully maybe late this year, early next year, maybe coming out.
So right now the thing is in terms of release, is a Space Epic big ass book that dealt with big ass travel.
Bat book.
The Bat book. And then after that, we're going to go off to a divergent where, you know, Cece's going to work on her book and I'm going to finish up Zoe. And then we may, I don't know. And, you know, and that's not even touching, you know, we're just talking about the literary side of our company. We haven't talked about, we not only there's a seminar giving us ideas on the business side, but we've also had some interesting business discussions and we're trying to come up with some business stuff. And we're learning very quickly, again, something that we knew intellectually, but now that we're living it, that doing a business, doing a small business is a lot of work and it's a big time suck. And I don't know if Cece has noticed this, but you know, before we would work for a couple hours, and we'd talk for a couple hours, and then we'd go off and do retirement stuff. But the retirement part of the day has gotten smaller and smaller, and the work part is starting to expand. Like I said this morning, why does that feel like we have a real job?
Well, I think part of that, and this is something about building a business, is that the startup phase of the business is a great time suck. Hopefully we will get to a point where it's a little bit more self-sustaining, where we'll have enough books out in the wild that we can take a break from writing every once in a while to go. I mean, currently our trips are partially planned. Washington, D.C., for example, could also relate to a project that JT may have coming up. Or our big trip next year may also play into future projects. So we can do both work and travel. And that's the great thing about the flexibility of being writers, being self-publishers. We can do it from anywhere.
Right.
So if our last trip, we were not motivated to sit down and actually work on our projects in the hotel at night because it was a lot. It was exhausting. I'm feeling like the next trip, I might be a little better at that because I won't have just retired from my day job. I'm starting to feel a little bit more energetic and more like myself than I have for a while. So I'm hoping this will build momentum, and future travels, we can actually do a little bit of business while we're on the road.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into the gist of the email. And when I suggested this topic to Cece, she sort of went, and if you've obviously you found this podcast by clicking through the social media, so you know what the question is going to be. Is we hear writers are dramatic. That's just the way it is. Writers are dramatic people. You know, we get it from Shakespeare, who, you know, his soliloquies and monologues and things like that, you know, with things how terrible.
Leading onto the keyboard.
And then, you know, and artists, there's the artistic stereotype, which I think is so overplayed, but, you know, that's not a time for now. That's another discussion. Whereas, you know, where the artist, whether it's a film star, TV star, a writer, or a stage actor, or anything like that, is I almost hate to use the word, but is kind of defective in some way in their social skills or their processes or anything like that. And so it seems, you know, it's like the gift of artistry is also the burden of artistry. And so, you know, it's like, you know, I am a victim of my art, so you may enjoy it. You know,
please enjoy it.
I sacrifice myself at the altar of artistry, so you may have something that fulfills and rounds out your life. Sigh.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's really overplayed. And sometimes, and of course, you know, writers, artists, whatever you want to use, they step into that as a part of, you know,
it's a persona.
Yeah, it's a persona and self-promotion.
Yes.
You know, it's a,
people love drama.
You know, it's a stereotype, so step into the stereotype. Whereas, you know, the people, you know, you also see that also, you know, that's how they acted in public, but that's not how they were in private, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, and in our case, our life is, you know, not boring, but we're very comfortable. We don't go out and do a lot of wild things like skydiving, for example. You know, some of those things that people help to use to promote themselves. It's like, oh my gosh, you're going to see somebody jump out of a plane. You're going to go look at that because what could go wrong? Yeah. Whereas us, you know, taking a trip cross country was exciting and everything, but nothing really out of the ordinary happened. And it was more about us experiencing things and less about the drama. So,
Flint, Michigan.
Except Flint, Michigan. And, you know, you'll have to read the book to learn more about that. But the thought is that we have this persona of being mellow and, you know, we're a comfortable couple and, you know, we've been married a long time and we talked recently about long-term relationships. So that's our persona.
Yeah, but my point being is we're not victims of our chosen profession.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
As many people try to portray themselves. Yeah. You know, I am a victim. I stab myself in the metaphorical heart to bleed onto the screen for you. No, that's not us.
That's my point exactly, is that we are not into that drama.
But the question remains, and this is the question that I posed to CC, and it just sort of, you know, what about writing do you like? What do you like about being a writer? And the reason that she had that blank stare is because, you know, there's the persona, you know, of victimhood, you know,
right?
And so I find writing to be a positive experience, not a negative experience, and I'm just wondering what your feeling is. What do you like about writing?
I have a very fertile imagination.
Goes all the way back. You're very fertile too.
Yeah, we've been there and we've done that.
Never mind.
That's another story. Yeah. But so going back to childhood, I spent a lot of time, as a lot of people my age probably did, latchkey kid, if you understand that phrase. I was home a lot by myself in the afternoons watching old TV shows. And while I enjoyed consuming the shows, I also tended to, sometimes my thought about how the story should play out diverged from what they presented. And so my imagination would take over and I would rewrite the ending of the show. And this kind of developed over time. I would do the same thing with books. It's like, oh, my favorite character should never have ended up this way. And I think even people who don't create, there is an element of you're going to read a book and your favorite book may not be quite what you wanted it to be because you did want something else to happen to your characters or your favorite characters. So that really, the imagination, actually using my imagination, being able to share my imagination, even though not a lot of people have been reading what we've written, and we hope someday to remedy that. But the act of using my imagination, sitting down at a keyboard and typing things out, just the feeling of typing something, I enjoy that. I enjoy that I can do it whenever I feel like it, you know, having the flexibility to write or not write. And that is another thing that, you know, writers tend to get dramatic about. It's like, how many different ways can we procrastinate about writing? Are we going to go run errands? Do we clean the house? So those kinds of things, having the flexibility, having the ability to work out my imagination and to put things on the page that resonate with me, that's what I like about writing.
Okay, ditto.
Oh, not fair, not fair.
Well, that's why I had you go first. So to shorten that answer down to very few, you like being able to express your imagination when you want, how you want, where you want. Basically, in a nutshell, you like that ability to put it out there. But the expression of that imagination comes with the burden, of course, which means production, and then, you know, actually having it out there where people read it.
That's the tough part.
Okay, so so how do you rationalize that? Because, and it is a rationalization. For folks interested, my definition of a rationalization, it's the faintest of truths which answer all of the questions to a problem. Sometimes it's a kind of avoidance of the real answer. But a rationalization is also a useful tool in getting you to the correct answer, the real answer. But so how do you lightly rationalize the fact that, you know, you're expressing your imagination, but in a public forum where people can see it and take those shots at you? Because knowing you, I know that's where you're coming from. You know that people can give you 2 stars for what you think is a reasonable effort, a reasonable expression of your imagination. So how do you rationalize that?
Oh, well, and this is part of what I think plays into what we call writer's block, is the completing a project and putting it out there in front of people, because there is always that danger that someone is not going to like what you put into the world. And over time, with age, with wisdom, whatever you want to call it, I'm finding it easier and easier to remember that the definition of good and bad is subjective. So what I put out there, as you said, I feel it's my best effort. I've done everything I can to try to make it my best effort. If somebody doesn't like it, you know, that is up to them. That is not on me. It could be a perfectly written, it could be in the most popular genre of the moment, and nobody may like it because maybe I did something a little bit different. And I kind of tend to lean into that. I don't want to market to what everybody else is doing. I think another reason I like writing is that I can express my individuality. So that maybe it's a rationalization that I'm not worried about how people are going to respond to my art, because if it makes me happy, that's the important part.
And I think you touched on a couple of important things here, and one of them, which I've already forgotten, but the last part there is writing is an art. It is, we call it writing, we call it being an author and everything like that, but it is an art. You are an artist when you write, but it doesn't do any good if it just sticks in your brain. You know, it's got to be out there. And you're right that we have no control how people perceive it, because art is also communication. It's the artist speaking to us as individuals. So, and of course, with communication, there's always 3 parts, as they taught us in the military so many times. And I think that people on the internet miss this so often. It's the transmitter, the message, and the receiver, and that somebody only has control over 2 parts, and that being the transmitter and being the message, and being the receiver. You have some control over the message so it can be interpreted in a certain way. But if somebody wants to have a pill over something that's been expressed. So it's
there
important.
are times when somebody will purposefully do something that would be, or write something that would be detrimental to another person, like a slander or a libel type of situation. And that's wrong. Plagiarism is wrong, you know, but art for art's sake should be taken as art, as long as the artist is trying their best, I think, not to hurt someone, not to push their ideas on anyone else. I think then art should be enjoyed for art's sake. And if you don't like something, that's fine. Just walk away. You know, if you give someone a 1 star, you know, you don't have to write a review. And I saw someone posted about this a while back, another author, that someone complained. They gave the author a 1 star review because the printed version of the book they received was defective. Now, the author pointed out, and I agree, that this is not the author's problem. This was a problem with the publishing process. It's a physical problem, and you shouldn't be penalizing the author for this.
We have no control over that.
No. So, you know, giving someone a 1 star review and saying they're a terrible author because the way their book was printed is not right. Giving someone a 1 star review because you did not enjoy their work is fine, but it doesn't mean their work is bad. It means it just did not appeal to you.
Okay, so my turn, and I'm going to answer the question in reverse. I'm going to answer the question in reverse. And I'm going to kind of echo what you said about putting something out there, And you know that I'm going through this right now. Is that you know, I want to. You know, there's going to be negative reviews and negative feedback, and you know, even worse is when somebody buys a book and they don't do any reviews or anything at all with it. They don't, you know, it just sort of like it drops into the void and nothing happens. And how I combat that is I try to do the most professional product that I can do. And you've seen that, you poor thing. And you could see, for instance, the cover with the Space Epic that I'm going through. I'm just, oh my God, I'm just suffering with what I'm trying to decide was going to be the cover. And I wanted to make it the most professional cover. And of course, I want to make sure that the contents of the book that we can control is, and so that's why we spent X number of dollars on Atticus, because that way we have, you know, the formatting is as good as we can. So I have as much control and so much over the professional product. And if somebody, you know, after all that, after your 1-star review, because the book isn't printed correctly.
Right. It's missing pages or something. That's not my fault.
It's not my fault. But even after that, even if I've gotten the 1-star review, then it's like, okay, well, I did everything that I could.
Yes.
I did everything that I could. I did my best with the cover. I did my best with formatting the content. And I did my best with, you know, putting the words in the order that, you know, I put them in when I wrote the book in the first place.
So with you saying that, I talked a lot about my imagination and, you know, the satisfaction and fulfillment I get about exercising that. Is this all just an exercise in perfectionism for you? Or do you feel like you're expressing your creativity?
No, this is what I like about the writing part. Now we get to the part where the part where I like about the writing. And I like two things. I like two things. I like the world building. I like the world building. I like the people building. I like building the people inside the world, because some people have noted that my characters are realistic.
Yes.
And that the dialogue between the characters is realistic. And so, and I work at that. And so when it's all said and done, if I've built a successful world with successful characters, with successful dialogue, you know, that triggers the serotonin, and that makes me happy.
And you bring up a good point, because we did mention this in one of our sessions earlier today, is that the two of us are voyeurs. We like to watch other people. We like to see what's going on in their lives. You like to go out and write in like Starbucks or other places like that out in public, where you can actually, if you're thinking, you can overhear conversations going on nearby. And I think that helps you build your characters, because you do hear the flow of natural conversation and stuff like that while you're working.
Right.
Whereas I'm very much a solo, I have to be inside my head. And I think that is kind of it works against me in some cases, because my prose is probably not as natural as yours, and my characters maybe not as fully fleshed. I'm more into the story elements than the people.
I'm more into the people, and, you know, to me, the people drive the story. So so I like driving the people.
Right.
So I like, and what I like is natural consequence and natural dialogue. So if they're talking about, you know, if two people are having separate opinions about an event, then it's like, let's see what happens when they view the same event a different way. I wanted to keep this relatively short, so I want to talk about the second part. Why I like the writing so much is the, you know, getting to the end of the project, getting it done. It's like finally when the book is finally published after everything, you know, and you hit the button. It's sort of like, oh, thank God, it is over.
So some of it is the challenge of actually getting it out there.
Yeah. So it's really, it's the world building, and then it's the successful end of a project, because, you know, in my day job, in my previous jobs, we were very, very project oriented. And so getting to the end of the project was party time. And so it's, you know, it's that is held over from my day job. So it's just knowing that, you know, I've taken, like, for example, the Space Epic is going to take years to complete. It's taken years to get this far. It started during the lockdown, and I've got the 3 books written. So, you know, books 2 and 3 are not going to be released, you know, until 2025 and maybe 2026. So we're still a ways to go. But knowing that one day that I'm going to be pushing the button on book 3, that's going to be an interesting feeling.
Do you foresee pushing the button on book 3 as the end, or do you think it's like the end ? There could be more.
You know, there's always the thought of prequels too.
True.
There's always the thought of prequels, but that's you know, let's. Okay.
But that kind of gives a background on the differences maybe in our desire to write, our writing style, and just life in general.
Yep, life in general. Okay, so Cece likes the imagination, whereas I like the world building, the world building, the people building. Maybe world is not a good word. Maybe people building is a better thing. Creating the characters, realistic characters. Okay. So it's funny what people like about the writing, because, listening to writers, they think that it's a great curse, but, I don't think so. I think it's a fun, if it is a curse, it's a fun curse.
Right.
So I ask other writers that maybe doing this, what do you like about writing? What do you like about doing it? Because, writers write. God, thousands of books get published, maybe a day. I don't know, but definitely hundreds.
A lot.
A lot. But there must be a reason. Is it that desire to share your knowledge? Is it the desire to put something out there that will outlive you? Because books will outlive us. What is it about the writing process that you like, that drives you to write? Is it the feeling that you want to help people? Is it feeling that you want to infect people with something? Hannibal Lecter would be a good example of that. Things like that. What is it that makes you want to write, and what keeps you in the writing game, even after, sad to say, you don't have a lot of financial success, yet you keep doing it? Why? This is an interesting thought, and you don't have to answer us, though we're interested in the question.
And we have mentioned in the past that for us, especially right now, we don't find the financial part of it to be a measure of our success. It's more of getting the work out there and doing something that we love.
Right.
But, that may not be the case for you. Maybe you do write because you want financial success. And if that's your decision and that makes you happy, that's fine. But maybe if you think that is the case, is something else driving you behind that?
It may be simple. You want the money.
And maybe that, and that goes back to things like plagiarism and trying to write to the market. Are you doing that just because you want the money and you think it's an easy way to do it? And for some people that may be true and they may be successful.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up because this very short podcast that I wanted to be a short podcast.
This is about our normal length.
Yeah, that's about our normal length. So, check us out at www.carsonhume.com, because that's where you can find all the podcasts, our writing, and everything like that too. There's somebody that's going through our entire podcast library, and so I would love to hear what they think about our podcast. Somebody's wandering on through there, on top of everybody else, but we can tell when somebody is going through it, which is fine. That's what they're there for. But we're interested not only from that person, but from everybody. What do you think of these podcasts? Do you find them helpful? If you do them at all, because we would love to hear back, and we're going to keep doing them because we're not very bright.
Well, we enjoy doing this. If nothing else, it's time for us to spend together. Also, I have finally started diving into our social media. We did have our big meeting where basically JT handed the reins to me, and I haven't done a lot yet, but if you go to our website, you'll find links to all of our social media platforms. We will be more active on there moving forward. We have some interesting plans in the works, so definitely check out the website, go to our social media, and follow along to see what we've got coming up, because you might get something fun out of it.
Yep. Okay, we're going to sign off for now and get back to our seminar, which is about to restart, whether or not we actually go to the social. But for now, sitting over there is Cece.
And over there is JT.
Thank you very much for listening along, watching along, and we hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day and a wonderful, wonderful week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.